Hello, this is Aidan Jonah, Editor-in-Chief of the Canada Files. I am here because the Canadian Federation of Students has put out a rather remarkable statement, a statement standing on the side of Palestinian liberation. So to learn more about the statement and to really get the CFS perspective, I'm speaking with Rhéal Amyot, the Interim Chairperson of the Canadian Federation of Students. Thank you for taking the time to speak with the Canada Files.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. So let's get right into it then. To begin, how much of a role did the Ontario government and York University attacks on the York Student Associations play in sparking this statement? And then, what other factors drove the statement as well?
Thanks for the question, Aidan. The statement is really to affirm our solidarity with the Palestinian people in their fight against apartheid, against ethnic cleansing, and against the violence of a settler colonial state, Israel. It's really important to mention in all of this that, historically, the student movement has always played a crucial role in dismantling and challenging systems of oppression, whether it's on our campuses, in our province, across so-called Canada, or across the globe. And so when we look at us being the oldest and largest national student organization, we have to stand in solidarity with Palestinians and further amplify, the community's calls, which is to end the bombing and the siege on Gaza. We, continue to affirm our commitments through this statement and through other actions. And of course, we firmly stand in solidarity with the unions at York University and across the country who are being targeted for their solidarity with Palestine, and in part because of the intentional misrepresentation by both administrators and government officials, such as Minister Dunlop, who've actively placed a target on students. This is a harmful approach, and we continue to affirm, our solidarity as a united student movement.
Fantastic. Yes. So, yes, and even with Dunlop, of course, I have spoken with at least one or two, who I won't name, faculty members in Ontario that they're also very intimidated. It's a very draconian set of attacks. So, anyways, this core message from the statement now, it's fair to say it's Palestinian liberation and solidarity with the student unions that have already taken the stand. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. It's part of our federation's mandate within our issues policies that we continue to challenge and fight against settler colonialism, against occupation, against genocide. And we're firm in our calls for the liberation of Palestinian people and all Indigenous peoples globally, whether it's here in Turtle Island or in Palestine. And we know that we as students have a role to play against, in challenging these systems of oppression. And we, of course, vehemently reject and condemn the attempts to silence and threaten autonomous student unions and organizations and student organizers, whether it's provincial governments or university administrations and college administrations.
For sure. Now, of course, as someone who actually just graduated from Toronto Metropolitan University only in this spring, this would matter regardless, but it adds an extra layer of interest because of that, feeling of somewhat connection. The Canfiles had an article, it was the morning before yesterday, from Marta Umukyaba, where he wrote about the attacks on student associations for standing with Palestine. But this goes all the way back to Concordia 2002, and possibly even further, frankly. You have York attacking its own student unions. You have an Ontario government minister trying to intimidate faculty and student associations, standing in solidarity with Palestine. Why do you think the government and administrations are so desperate to attack Palestine solidarity? Because they're being really draconian on this.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And as I noted earlier, students have always been at the forefront of pushing for change, in challenging oppression, and university administrations and governments alike know that. And certainly, this is not the first time we've seen this, whether it's on solidarity with Palestine or whether it's on a variety of other issues and challenging homophobia and transphobia, challenging anti-Semitism, challenging, other oppressive policies and frameworks, both within administration and government. So as a federation, we'll always take a stand against that. And we know that with that, the stances that the student movement has taken since its inception has always been challenging power, and that, I think, is why we see those actions from administrations and governments.
Right. So this Ford government also attacked student associations with its 2019 quote unquote student choice initiative policy, which was eventually defeated in the courts in 2021. Do you see the connections between this 2019 attack on student associations and the 2023 attack on student associations in solidarity with Palestine? If so, please do explain.
Absolutely. The SCI, or the Student Choice Initiative, was a direct attack on the autonomy of students' unions, on the rights of students to organize, whether it was in Ontario or really the reverberations were felt across the country. And it was an attempt by government to silence students and prevent organizing, which again, we know we have and will continue to play an important role in dismantling oppressive systems, both on and off our campuses, locally and globally. We also know that there's strength in numbers, and as this, that's the purpose of the student movement, is to bring us all together. So we'll continue to stand firm in our solidarity with Palestinian people in their fight against settler colonialism, and continue to demand that all levels of government, as well as administration, stop their interference with student organizing.
Yes. Just an aside from covering a lot of these Palestine solidarity rallies, at least in the GTA area, there is consistently a strong Indigenous presence at these rallies in a way that I don't tend to see on other topics, and I certainly think that says a lot of good things, about the Palestinian liberation movement, given the just fight of Indigenous people against Canadian colonialism, genocidal colonialism. So let's look to the future now, though, on the topic. The CFS, it's going to inevitably come under attack from Zionist organizations in Canada, including the same CJA, which actually blocked the CFLs from trying to cover their anti-Semitism conference. And of course, they're going to you guys are going to come under attack from the governments in Canada too. York student associations have so far weathered the attacks they faced. So how does CFS plan to handle these attacks that are likely going to be coming from various levels?
The CFS obviously is an autonomous organization, and we are a membership-driven organization. The stances that we take are ones that are mandated by our policies and by our bylaws, which are democratically decided upon. And so we'll continue to stand firm with Palestine, and we'll continue to take the direction from our membership, which includes the students' unions at York. We'll continue to call on the government to not interfere in the autonomy of the students' unions or in student organizing. And they really, they shouldn't be encouraging the government administrations to union bust and interfere in our democratic and autonomous processes as students' unions. We are calling for an end to all interference so that students can continue to organize and represent the will of the membership.
So it's fair to say that in terms of resisting the pressure, a lot of that strength would come from the democratic process and internal support within CFS that exists for these policies, correct?
Absolutely. We are, again, we're a membership-driven organization. The membership drives what we do every day on the ground, and as well as in the democratic bodies that decide on these policies. And so we will continue to take lead from our membership on the roles that we'll play both in York University and at other campuses and other students' unions across the country.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much. That was Brandon Rhéal Amyot, the interim chairperson of the Canadian Federation of Students, who the CFL spoke to because of their brave statement in solidarity with Palestine liberation.
My pleasure.
Okay, fantastic.